Last year we had Barbenheimer, the double feature that contained both Oppenheimer and Barbie, and this year we have Glicked. Glicked weekend has come and gone. Did you see one of the movies? Did you see both of the movies? Because I saw both, and we're going to talk about both of them. Let's start with Wicked. Some are calling it the MCU of Broadway movie musical adaptations, and I think it has the elements of the fan service from an MCU movie, but also the elements of a great movie, which also the MCU does as well. I think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were perfectly cast, both incredible. While Ariana Grande stole every scene and commanded the screen and her presence was always known and it was fantastic, I think her yin was Cynthia Erivo's yang, where all she had to do was just say something with her eyes and she captured the screen. They both, I can't picture anyone else in these roles. And I know Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel, started these roles, and that was on Broadway for movie version though. I only see these two. And I think they both work so well together because of how one just used their emotions and one used their whole body, and they just worked perfectly together. While this movie was fantastic, my one little gripe with the movie was that it took a little bit to get its footing, but once it had its footing, it was flying. While I do think the movie was fantastic and there was nothing bad really about the movie, I do think the part before the Ozdust Ball and the part after really is where the movie was had its wings wide open, flying and soaring. And I think before that, they just had a lot of stuff to get out. And once all the characters were introduced, once all the story was introduced, they were we're just able to do what we want to do. And that's when it really shined. Before then, it wasn't like it didn't shine. It just took a little bit to get its footing. And I think because they had to explain the plot, explain the people, all that stuff, get a lot of exposition in there. And I do feel like it was a little rushed in the beginning, but still enjoyable. But then once it hit that moment, and once they start dancing together, once that moment hit, it was game over for the movie. And then from then on, lights out. I do think that's going to help the second one because I'm very excited for the second one because everything's now, the story is set up and all they have to do is just tell the story of how they want to do it. And I think nothing's going to hold them back. And I think that sets them up for so much success. And I am very excited for Wicked Part 2. Even though people didn't know it was a Part 2, I knew it was a Part 2. And I was fine with how it ended. I didn't necessarily mind that. It ended on a amazing moment with Defying Gravity. It's I'd rather the movie end with that than be in the middle of the movie, if that makes sense. I would give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. Very good. Go see it. It's one of those movies where you just want to see it again and again and again, and the music is stuck in your head, and it's just I do think it's this year's crowd pleaser. And for Oscars, I do think it has a chance for a Best Picture nomination, Best Supporting Actress, Best Actress. I think Ariana Grande has a better chance to get it. I think she is the number 1 or 2, while Cynthia Erivo is number 4, 5, or 6. Costumes, production design, sound, hair and makeup, really, even. I think if it keeps this buzz and this high, and the Oscars feel it as well, I can even see visual effects and stuff like that. So I think this movie is going to be the one that hits with the critics, hits with the audiences, hits with Oscars, and I can't wait for it. Now moving on to the second part of Glicked Weekend, it is Gladiator II. While last year I thought both Oppenheimer and Barbie were fantastic, this one, there was a little bit of a difference in the two movies. Gladiator 2 is good. Don't get me wrong. I had fun with it. I did really enjoy some moments, but the two big things that I'm kind of trying to get over is, one, did we really need a sequel? Not really. And two, it wasn't as good as the original. So those two things are already two strikes against it. And while the acting was great, Denzel was fantastic. I enjoyed Paul Mescal. I think Ridley Scott, as always, showed the grandness of the movie very well. I do think the beginning of the movie was a little slow. The middle, where normally it kind of drags, was the best part, where you were on the edge of your seat, really into the story. And then the end, it just kind of went balls to the walls. Not in the best way for me. Maybe on a second viewing, I can appreciate it as more of just a going on the ride situation. But on first viewing, it was more kind of slow. Oh, I'm into it. what's going on. The story was all over the place, but you really felt it at the end. I also thought it went bigger, and bigger doesn't always mean better, but for this, the gladiator fights were bigger and they were fun. The monkeys, the sharks, the rhinos, that was a fun time. And I do think the production design was great. I thought the visual effects were good. I thought the cinematography was good. There was a lot of technical stuff to really like about this movie. I do think the biggest flaw of it was the story, because I think they were trying to figure out how do we follow up an Oscar-winning movie, and it kind of just they couldn't. So they're like, well, we might as well just have fun. I did think they had a lot of good ideas in the script, but I don't know where they fell off. In the end, it just was kind of a mess. But for Oscars, I don't think it's picture worthy, but I do think it's going to be a big technical movie. Ridley Scott does also get a lot of technicals normally for his movies, so I don't think this one's going to be different. Costumes, production design, visual effects, stuff like that. But I do think the one above the line nomination it's going to get is definitely Denzel Washington. Now, I don't think Gladiator is like one of the best movies of all time. I did enjoy it, and I think that's like a 4-star movie. So since I liked it a little less, I will give Gladiator II 3.5 stars. Both good movies, both a great double feature. I think that's what works about this Barbenheimer and this Glicked. It's not like two of the same movies. It's two radically different movies, and at the end of it, you just have a great time. What do we think next year's Barbenheimer or Glicked is going to be? Wicked Part 2 comes out along with Running Man on the same day. Maybe we'll have The Wicked Man Part 2. I don't know. I'm here for these kind of like fun double feature events every year, because I don't think people actually thought Glicked was going to happen. They thought Barbenheimer was like, lightning hit once, and it didn't do as well as Barbenheimer, but Glicked was a small Barbenheimer. And I'm waiting for now there just to be a bunch more every year, small versions of Barbenheimer. Let me know what you thought of both Wicked and Gladiator II down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Cheers.